Yo, what is up, guys? It is Freddy Knows Ball back with a brand new video today, and we've got math starting up, guys. Let's go. We're starting math today. I'm out of breath. And so, yeah, we've got a couple different things we're going to cover today, and let's just get right into it, guys. With algebra, pretty much what we want to do is get x by itself. When we can get x by itself, we know the solution to the equation. And so when we have the solution, typically that will solve a lot of the SAT questions that are on this question type, or there could be some extra steps, which I will show in this example right here. If 2x plus 3 equals 9, what is the value of 6x minus 1? So to solve this algebraically, you could subtract the 3 over, then divide by 2, and you will get that x equals 3. Now, we're not done though. The question asks, what is the value of 6x minus 1? So to solve this, you want to plug in the value you got for x, which is 3, and so it's actually 6 times 3 minus 1. With order of operations, multiplication comes first, and 6 times 3 is 18. 18 minus 1 is 17, so 17 is our answer. For this next one, we have something similar. If 4x minus 28 equals negative 24, what is the value of x minus 7? So we can add the 28 over, and then we can divide by 4, and we get that x equals 1. Then when we plug in x equals 1 to the x minus 7 part, we get 1 minus 7, which is negative 6. Now here's how you can do it on Desmos, and this is how I recommend doing it on the actual SAT, because it is far faster and much more simple. You pretty much don't even have to use your brain. On Desmos, you can genuinely just type in the equation. Let's use 4x minus 28 equals negative 24 in this case. And once you type in the equation, there will be a line that shows up on the graph. Once you find that line, find where it intersects on the x-axis, and that is your x value of the solution. So you'll see that it gives you a point, and that point starts with x, and then it's comma, and then it's y. So this point will be 1, 0, which means the x value is 1, and the y value is 0. In this case, we're just talking about the x value, so we know that x equals 1, and we can continue with the question. Now let's talk about in terms of questions. And so for these, you're pretty much trying to manipulate the equation that they give you until you get what the question is asking for. So let's jump right into this first one. The given equation relates the distinct positive numbers v, w, and x. Which equation correctly expresses w in terms of v and x? Alright, so we're trying to express w in terms of v and x, and they give us this equation. So as long as you know your algebra fundamentals and the rules, this should be pretty straightforward. We can multiply over the 150x, and then we can divide by the negative. Whenever you have a variable by itself, you can always think of it as having a 1 in front of it, because we see the w by itself here, and that's not 2w, that's not 3w. We identify that as 1w. So if it helps you to think about the 1 in front of it, that you have to divide by negative 1, sometimes that helps. But yeah, so in this case, the answer is A, and although you might not have had it in the same assortment, it does ultimately get you the same answer. So if you ever want to check your answer for these, feel free to plug in numbers for v and x and see if the answer changes based on where it is. In this case, it's simply multiplication with the v and x, so there's nothing to worry about. Unfortunately, Desmos doesn't help you much with this one because it's talking a lot about variables and just changing the order of them in the equation. So Desmos is better with actually finding solutions and things like that. All right, so for this one, we're talking about how many solutions the equation has. Now you can go ahead and try this on your own and try to do the algebra. You would just distribute the 12 to the parentheses on the left and distribute the negative 3 to the parentheses on the right, and then solve for x. However many solutions you get is how many solutions the equation has. In my opinion though, Desmos is so much faster at this, and I'm going to show you that way right now. So we type in the equation 12x minus 3 equals negative 3x plus 2. Just as it's typed in the SAT question, we type that into Desmos. And once we type that in, we can clearly see that there is one solution, and that solution is 0. So x equals 0, and that is the only solution. So the answer to this question would be exactly 1. A. Alright, so now we've got a word problem. There are tons of different word problem types on the SAT, and this is going to be the first one that we look at. It's pretty simple. You just have to understand what words mean and how to convert words into equations. So let's get right into it. John paid a total of $165 for a microscope by making a down payment of $37 plus P monthly payments of $16 each. Which of the following equations represents this situation? Alright, so to start off, we have to see that the total is $165. So that's the total. And then we see there's a down payment of $37, so a one-time payment, and then P monthly payments of $16 each. $16 per month is what we're paying. Whenever I see the word per, I know in this case there isn't, but you can infer because it's every month you're paying it. Whenever you see something that's recurring, that needs to have a variable with it. And so 16 has to have the P with it. 16P plus the down payment of 37 equals the total of 165. 165 equals 16P plus 37, or 16P plus 37 equals 165. And you guys can see that C is that answer. For these, you can plug in the equation to Desmos to see what P equals, but that's not what the question's asking. So Desmos isn't really what you want to use here. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's try one more. Lorenzo purchased a box of cereal and some strawberries at the grocery store. Lorenzo paid $2 for the box of cereal and $1.90 per pound for the strawberries. If Lorenzo paid a total of $9.60 for the box of cereal and the strawberries, which of the following equations can be used to find P, the number of pounds of strawberries Lorenzo purchased? Assume there is no sales tax. We see that the $2 for the box of cereal is essentially the down payment because it's a one-time purchase, and we see $1.90 per. And now since we see the per, I'm putting the variable with that. 190p plus the $2 for the box of cereal equals $9.60 for both. And so that's what I'm looking for in the answer choices. And in A, we see that 190p plus 2 equals 960. Hopefully that makes sense for you guys. And that's going to wrap it up for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Please feel free to leave any questions in the comments below, and like and subscribe, turn on notifications to help support me, guys. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.